Hi, my name is Yasmina Mail. I'm a grade 12 student attending Collège Français in Toronto. As immigrants and social activists, my parents have always encouraged me to pursue my studies and to be an advocate for fairness, equity, and opportunity for all. That's probably why I'm also a student trustee for my board. Over the past 5 years, my life has changed enormously. My friends and I are eager to meet whatever comes next. We're a little sad to leave our school, a place that's become so familiar and safe, but it's also where we've learned to prepare for our journey ahead. I started high school in 2011, after legislation was enacted to make Ontario accessible by 2025. In my high school and circle of friends, there are some people without disabilities and some with, visible and non-visible ones. Accessibility is how you make a difference, so there are no differences. I believe accessibility is succeeding. So much so that, and here's the ironic part, you may not even notice that it is in place. So we are making this film to focus on what is working and the champions you might not see behind accessibility. How have schools been able to weave accessibility into their culture? In a way, accessibility is part of my legacy. So for the benefit of all those graduating classes yet to come, I'm taking the measure of this extraordinary shift. Browsing the TeachABLE Project website revealed the everyday inspirational work of teachers, principals, parents, and students. Between now and graduation, I will set out with a team of filmmakers to see, hear, and touch accessibility. I gathered the perspectives of my principals, teachers, and friends, of course. What does accessibility look like 5 years later?
Well, now we're in 2016, so we're able to do things that we were not able to do like 15 or 10 years ago. Now I'm teaching, I'm not thinking about, oh, I need to do that for that student, I need to do that for that student. It's not like that at all. It's like now I'm teaching and I'm trying to reach everyone with one activity.
Well, we've got new elevators now. We've always had a ramp outside of school, so that's always been good. I think it just helps them feel more at home at school. They feel more comfortable, they feel better about themselves. And it'll just help them not have to focus and worry about that and focus more on school.
There's definitely ways teacher can definitely help people with anxiety or ADHD, and I think the school board has made a huge effort to try to improve those areas. So yeah, I think that there's definitely been some improvements there.
We've been doing all the changes for the students to make sure that they have all the tools that they need to better perform in class and better succeed. Coming to class, they're more motivated because they know whenever they need help, they know where to go to get that help. I think in the world that we live in, our students are so lucky because back in the days, these kids would never had a chance of succeeding. As for now, you have the same chance as everybody else.
Naturally, no one sees it quite the same way, but I'm starting to hear this. Accessibility is critical to identity and ambition. For anyone with accessibility needs, you can't shape your future without that support.
We installed MF systems in all our classrooms so that we could speak with a microphone, and it's been really fun to use this in our classroom. It's for everyone, so it's not targeted towards anyone in particular, which is nice. It also gives students a voice as well. Whenever they speak, they have the microphone. They can co-teach with me. I've actually kept using them, even though I don't have students with any hearing loss currently. Also, children at that age, they have a lot more trouble figuring out missing words when they just hear part of a sentence. They have trouble constructing it. Whereas adults, we've got more vocabulary. We're more skilled at putting together a sentence where we've missed parts of it. So this is helping everyone. It's been really fun. I plan on using them my entire career teaching.
It was actually Madame Sturgaitis' remark about hearing aids that drew my attention to the deaf and hard of hearing community. The TeachABLE Project website featured the work of Upper Grand District School Board. I wondered how this initiative had developed in the past 5 years. It turns out the answer is quite a lot.
Connect Here is an initiative that the Deaf and Hard of Hearing team and our student program department has started. And the day really is about bringing all of our deaf and hard of hearing students and their families together for a variety of activities. But most importantly, it's about building a sense of community so that there is a group where everyone really belongs. So this community, not just coming together for the day, but through our Google Classroom community as well, allows those kids to have access to one another, even when they're not physically in the same classroom or the same building. This is really a powerful opportunity for our kids that they can identify with a group. It is key for them to feel like they can affiliate with a group with similar interests and similar challenges. And that's really important for our kids. Our guest speaker, for example, today really spoke about the challenges that he faced as a secondary student and in post-secondary, but he also was able to quite articulately describe how he was able to be successful, both earning 2 different college programs and graduating from university, so that the hearing loss is a part of him, but it certainly doesn't define him, and most importantly, it doesn't limit him. And so it equalizes the playing ground for our students when they see that they too can achieve those goals.
This is the second Connect Hearing Day that Alex and I have attended. He's in a school, my son, where there are no other children that he's aware of that wear assistive technology for hearing. He thinks he's alone, and it's nice to come to these events to see other boys and girls that face the same challenges, and the days like today allow the students to connect better with their itinerant teachers. Someone who flies into their world to connect their FMs in the fall, maybe checks in on them a few times during the year, but not someone that they get to have a bit of fun with. I think they're going to do a bit of activities this afternoon, minute to win it type things, and get to engage with them and laugh, and to really get to know them as a person, and maybe be a little less intimidated to get them to advocate for them or to ask them questions in the future.
What people need to really realize is it does take a shift, and I think that is happening in a lot of places. I think we have a lot of room to go as well as educators, but we have to start the dialogue, and we have to start asking our colleagues to really take that extra step to make this happen for our kids.
The Connect Here event was really fascinating and encouraging. As we were leaving Guelph, I chatted with John Higgins, one of the film's producers. When the topic switched from classic Hollywood movies to how he got into making films, I decided to get John's remarks on camera. Having a physical disability hasn't altered the dream he had in high school.
Well, I've always enjoyed films. I've always enjoyed going to films, and the education inspired me with a theoretical background, and the combination of those two kind of propelled me into filmmaking. Well, I'd say since I'm disabled, I'm more ambitious, and I don't take things for granted. And unfortunately, my physical disability has tremendously impacted my identity, because people often just look at the chair and see all the negative aspects of it. Well, the only advice that I would have for them is they have to advocate for themselves. They have to recognize their physical limitations, and they have to be willing to accept help, and not view their disability as a negative aspect. Be willing to move forward and accept the challenges and both the advantages and disadvantages of their physical limitation.
Here I am at the end of the school year and the end of high school life, and my tenure as a school trustee, and soon the end of the film itself. This will be the last time I meet with fellow trustees at our annual general meeting. Imagine how pleased I was to learn the Honourable David Onley, former Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, accepted to attend. He gave an inspiring keynote address, one rich in hard truths but still optimistic.
Well, today, all these years later, accessibility is high profile, and depending on what school you're representing, you might be representing coming from a school that's modern and has the latest of efficiencies and standards, but you also may be coming from a building that is old. The reality is, though, it's beyond architecture. Accessibility is as much a matter of attitude as it is anything else. You can have the latest in ramps, automatic doors, curb cuts, wheelchair parking spots, and all these things are very, very good, and they were fought for by advocates over the last 30 years. You can have all of those things, but if you don't have attitude, or a good attitude, or a proper attitude, then in fact there are still accessibility problems. Problems, that is, for the students who are with you in school. Some of whom may have physical disabilities and others with so-called invisible disabilities. So in terms of accessibility in this province, we're fortunate that we have the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, which has a 20-year mandate to be implemented in the province of Ontario and make this a completely accessible province. And so in terms of your school, the one that you come from and the district that you represent, you can look at accessibility, hopefully, in something of a different light. Not as a matter of just strictly meeting the rules and regulations and timetable of the implementation of the Accessibility Act, but looking at it in terms of your fellow students who you know, and seeing whether or not by conversation, by getting to know them, as to whether their needs are being met. And in that process, you're going to find, I believe, the process, if you will, or you're going to find the insights, I should say, as to what can be recommended at your local board level.
5 years later, it's clear accessibility is indispensable. But as David Onley said, the reality is it's beyond architecture. Accessibility is as much a matter of attitude as anything else. I think people are up to the task to give accessibility the support it needs. I think educators are getting on with it and responding in meaningful ways. Who are we? And who do we want to be? I hope our film will inspire students, teachers, principals, and education workers to improve opportunities for accessibility. It's important work that's beyond measure. Thanks for watching.